There is a massive search underway as we speak for the second consecutive night for 4 sailors, including an officer, who were on board one of the Navy's torpedo recovery vessels when it went down off the coast of Visakhapatnam yesterday. We pray that these men who were thought to be wearing life jackets are indeed found. But what is clear is that this accident couldn't have come at a worse time for the Navy, a force beset with accidents, so many accidents that it recently forced a serving chief, Admiral Joshi, to resign.
For the Indian Navy, the 7th setback in 15 months. This 30-year-old torpedo recovery vessel sank around 8 p.m. on Thursday during a routine mission. 4 sailors, including an officer, are still missing. The vessel sank just 35 nautical miles south of its base in Visakhapatnam. Bizarrely, the crack appeared to have taken place at this place, the forward steering gear compartment. That's where the water came in gushing into the ship, and it came so fast that the pumps of the ship could not work, and the entire engine room compartment here also got flooded, leading to the sinking of the ship, which is now sitting at a depth of 370 meters on the seabed near Visakhapatnam.
Navy is a very professional service, and the Board of Inquiry will get into all these details. Let me also assure you that no ship goes to sea or no aircraft gets airborne, no submarine goes to sea unless it is fully seaworthy.
We have already ordered a BOI which has been headed by a captain, and we will come to know about the causative analysis, reasons that what caused this disaster.
The worst recent disaster was a blast on board submarine INS Sindhurakshak, in which 8 people were killed. There was also a fire in engine room of INS Konkan in December last year. And INS Betwa ran aground near Mumbai in January this year. INS Talwar, another warship, hit a fishing trawler near Ratnagiri on the western coast, injuring 4 on board. And there was, of course, the fire on board INS Sindhuratna, another submarine, which killed 2 officers. With a change in guard in the Defence Ministry soon, the latest blow to the Navy should be a wake-up call. Is it operating with an aging fleet that endangers the lives of its officers and men? Nitin Gokhale for NDTV.
Alright, well, as we speak now for the second consecutive night, there are several warships, aircraft, helicopters out there scouring the seas. Hopefully these 4 men who are still missing will be found. Well, joining us to discuss the state of the Indian Navy when it comes to safety, when it comes to all of these accidents, you really can't find 2 better voices. Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, he's retired recently. He was Commander-in-Chief of the Western Naval Command. Also with us, Vice Admiral retired Suresh Bangara. He was former Commander-in-Chief of the Southern Naval Command. The number of years and the experience amongst these 2 officers, not very many actually would have in the Indian Navy. I'd like to thank both of you for joining us. Admiral, let me come to you first. Admiral Sinha, you left the Indian Navy under circumstances which were difficult for you, obviously. You've spent decades in the Navy, but you were actually in charge in the Western Naval Command when there were all these accidents. We've seen Admiral Joshi resign as well because he took the responsibility and he said, look, I have to go. Ultimately, whose fault is it? Do you say that it was your fault as the man commanding all these units, submarines, warships, or is there a systemic problem somewhere else?
Vishnu, the trouble with our system is that we begin to find who's wrong, and as a result of that, you never find out as to what went wrong. And as you know that the media is so active, and they start doing an inquiry, and they come to some judgments before the Board of Inquiry is over. So I would say that what went wrong is more important, and they let the Board of Inquiry conduct the full inquiry. None of these inquiry reports were sort of made public, or was it put to the ministry. Then they would have known as to who was at fault, and all those actions are now being taken. So I would say that it's a cumulative effect of over a period of time.
Of what?
Cumulative effect of, first, the revenue budgets. I very sincerely feel that the revenue budget should be higher to maintain the older ships and aircraft and submarines. Because what is happening is that we are inducting at a very fast pace, whereas the the maintenance of the older legacy platforms, it gets affected because the money is only limited. And the procedure that we follow for getting the approvals, that is extremely bureaucratic, because we do not have the technical expertise with the ministry, and we need to have this integrated defense headquarter where the service officers sit inside.
Admiral Bangara, do you agree with that ultimately the Navy can't maintain its ships the way that it wants? It cannot repair its ships the way that it wants, because you don't control the flow of money. Ultimately that money comes sanctioned from Babus sitting in South Block, and it's on the basis of what they give you that you can make your men, your women and your machines work. Is that the problem?
Vishnu, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me set the record straight about this particular incident, because the whole debate was on the torpedo recovery vessel. Now, this is an auxiliary vessel. It's a non-combatant. It has just got one role: go and pick up a practice torpedo after it is surfaced. It does nothing else but that. It's manned by one officer and about 20 sailors. And this particular ship is 31 years old. That's linked with what my friend Shekhar Sinha is trying to tell you. Now, if you have replacement programs running on schedule, like it is meant to be, then you would have periodically older ships being phased out. Now, just as in the Air Force, where the MiG-21s are still flying, and in the Army, where they have plenty of problems with guns, we also, for decades, for a full decade, didn't have inductions coming at the rate where it could match the ships that were being phased out. So we have become great experts in keeping ships going. Vikrant survived much longer than anybody knew. Virat is surviving much beyond a lifetime that the British could have given, and so on. So we have become experts in keeping old ships going. And that is why Shekhar says that to maintain these old ships, you need a higher allotment of budget. But the fact of the matter is that now that the inductions have started coming in, we have to be careful in phasing out the older ones on time. And this is a program which the Navy can only undertake when they've got assured induction rates being maintained. Very often, such an assurance is not forthcoming because of poor decision making on acquisition.
Admiral, let me ask you something else. The entire policy of resignations, of officers saying, okay, I take the responsibility and I will go, that doesn't really solve anything, does it?
Not really, because as I said, what we have to establish is
we are hoping
what went wrong, rather than as to who went wrong, and therefore asking for resignation by that logic, the chief should resign. By that logic, any time an aircraft meets with an accident, the air chief should resign, or there is a border incursion, the army chief should resign. So that's not the way to my mind. That's not the way. I would like to believe that let the board of inquiry, which consists of expert people, do the finding and then address the problem which has caused this. And if you see, if there are a series of accidents in a particular time frame, then obviously it is a cumulative effect of so many years, either spares or maintenance or budget, or maybe people are not very careful because they are still treating the ships.
Isn't that also a problem? In fact, Admiral Bangara, let me ask you that question. You know, it's not just it's not just old platforms which are being used for an extended period of time. There is the entire issue of safety standards on Indian warships, of training of men and women, of mistakes being made by people who shouldn't be making these mistakes. Isn't that also a concern?
Yes, Vishnu, there is no Navy that I know which is accident free anywhere in the world. That's something that all of us should understand, because combatant ships, when they go out for exercises, they do very bold things at sea to prepare for war. So you will have failures of material, you will have failures in drills. That is not going to be eliminated with an order from the top. Training is a very important aspect, and I think we give adequate importance to training. There is a workup team which checks up the ships, but the problem is not that. The problem is that we have suddenly had a series of incidents which of course in just by numbers is something that shouldn't have bunched up in this manner. And that the Navy will take care of, and the Navy will not give a fictitious report. They will actually point out the areas of weaknesses, and therefore I don't think anybody should worry about it. But I would like to, Vishnu, point out an error in Nitin. Nitin is such an intrepid and committed reporter, but he's already come to a conclusion on how the accident has taken place, and he was pointing the wrong end of the ship. For us who are the Navy, we don't like somebody calling our nose our posterior and vice versa. But the crack, etc., are only theories at this moment. But the Navy spokesman himself came up and said that the most plausible reason could be from the stern gland. Material failure is possible, 31-year-old ship. And this being a non-combatant, it does not have the ability to float like a combatant warship, which has got many, many backups. And this being a small ship, flooding has a very severe impact.
Yeah,
but please note also that
so Admiral Bangara, just a moment. I've got some pictures coming
who were on board the ship.
I've got some pictures coming in. These are not of the A-72, the torpedo recovery vessel which sank, but are of ships which are actually out searching for the 4 men who are still missing. If we can just bring up those pictures that we saw a moment back. This is one of the frigates of the Indian Navy. It's out on duty. This was just from a few hours back when there was daylight, and there are other ships of the Indian Navy, several helicopters as well. I should also mention that according to what we are being told at this stage, 2 of the men among the 4 who are missing were actually Navy divers. These are extremely trained individuals, and we are also told that all 4 of these individuals were actually wearing life vests. So there is a sense that there could be hope yet. But the area of operations for the search operation has extended greatly. Admiral Sinha, just a last word from you. The Navy says that there were extensive currents in this particular area. That obviously would make the search operation much more difficult. People out there would be wanting to know, is there a real possibility that these men could survive since they had these life jackets? They are trained to survive for a period of time like this, right?
I agree with you, but there are issues. First issue is that they know that how long a human being can survive in that kind of weather, and therefore the searches are planned for that much of duration. So they will not call off the search till such time that much time is elapsed. And if there is any hope in that area, how much the current can drift them, how much the sea can take charge of these men who are floating, hopefully, and where all the ships should be deployed. It's a very mathematically proved system, and they will not stop the search till such time those time frames are over. So hopefully they will get it.
Hopefully these people will be found, these sailors, 1 officer and 3 sailors of the Indian Navy. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank both of you very much for joining us this evening.